Hello, I'm Gwen Richard, Community Development Director for the Acadiana Center for the Arts, where local artists, arts organizations, and community presenters have an opportunity to showcase their work. They give us just a little sneak peek into what they're up to in their community. Today, I'm speaking with artist Denise Gallagher, a recent recipient of ArtSpark, an individual artist funding program of the Acadiana Center for the Arts and Lafayette Economic Development Authority. ArtSpark offers support to emerging, mid-career, and mature artists for special short-term projects to enhance the arts and cultural life in Acadiana. Let's begin. Welcome, Denise.
Hi, Gwen. I'm glad to be here.
Good. We're happy to have you. I need you to tell me in one sentence, what type of artist are you?
That's a tough one. Let's see, in one sentence. I guess I would say I am an artist that brings whimsy and magic to life in whatever medium that I'm working in, be it writing, illustrating, or graphic design, or fine art.
I love that answer.
Thank you.
That's awesome. So what connects you to your art? What inspires you to be an artist?
I find inspiration everywhere I go, be it literature, music, people inspire me, other artists. I am inspired by the magic that I find in everyday life.
So what connection do you have to your art, and what connection would you like others to have to your art?
I love it when people look at my art and find their own story within, especially illustrations, fine art, images that I share with my audience. I love it when they come to me and say, this reminds me of a story I heard when I was young, or it reminds me of what I used to believe when I was a child. And then they share their stories with me, which often sparks another, even more imagination, and can often spark another project or an illustration for me.
Your work is beautiful. I
Thank
absolutely
you
love
much.
it. I'm inspired by
Thank you,
it for
Gwen.
sure. But I want you to tell the audience about your project. What is it? What exactly did you get ArtSpark funding
The
to
ArtSpark
do?
project was an amazing opportunity for me. I felt as though it was a gift from the community to me. I have written and illustrated a children's picture book, and I actually started off as a graphic designer and illustrator, but I had never ventured into longer works of fiction writing. After I finished the first children's book that I wrote and was published, I had an idea for a longer piece of fiction, a middle grade novel, and I said to myself, there's no way I can write a novel. That's a lot of words. But I took the time, and I had a story that it just wouldn't leave me alone. So I had to get it down, and I started writing, and I really grew to love the characters and love the story that I was working on. But then there was a question in my mind, I'm still new at this. This is something that's beyond my scope of what I'm comfortable doing. So the ArtSpark grant was an opportunity for me to hire a professional editor to go over my manuscript with me, really kind of teach me or work with me on refining my manuscript and making it as professional as possible, and giving it the audience, making it available or professional enough to get to an audience. And at the same time, I also used the grant to have a retrospective of my work, my illustration work, at the Hilliard Art Museum. So combining the retrospective at the Hilliard with the hiring an editor to work with my manuscript for my novel, I was able to let the public know, what I've been doing as far as illustration and writing for children. I've been, known as a graphic designer or an artist, but really this is sort of a new venture for me. So the ArtSpark grant was a way for me to let the public, especially here in Acadiana, know, what I've been up to and what I really want to go into, and that is writing and illustrating solely for children, and sharing my stories and my images and the stories that I have with my audience and with children in Acadiana and throughout.
You're amazing. You are amazing. I've seen your work. I love your work. And you almost answered my next question, which is about the opportunities that this has afforded you.
Yes. It's really, I never would have been able to hire an editor. The editor that I hired was, she worked in New York as a professional editor at one of the largest publishing houses in New York. So her knowledge, sharing her knowledge with me, I was able to learn from her and work with her. We are on the 3rd round of edits right now in the manuscript, and it's this close to being ready to propose to publishing companies, publishing houses, in New York, and I have an agent who is also working with me, and she's in New York, and we're working together. But it really was the opportunity to work with these professionals in a field that I was just dipping my toe into. Was just an amazing opportunity. Awesome. I never would have been able to do it without the help of the ArtSpark grant, and also the art museum, the Hilliard exhibit, allowed my work to be seen in a new light by a new audience here in Acadiana, and people throughout who came to visit the Hilliard during the show. It was up throughout the summer, and because of the show, I was able to work on some other projects that were inspired by the Louisiana Endowment for the Humanities. Their magazine, their editor came to me, and they had been thinking about illustration for their magazine, 64 Parishes magazine. And when they saw my exhibit, they were inspired, and they decided to work with me on the cover for the winter issue. And I'm really excited about that. That was an opportunity that may not have come about without them noticing me and seeing me through the work at the Hilliard.
What an awesome thing. It sounds really amazing.
It's been fun working with those guys, and they really allowed me to show what I can do as an artist.
That's so cool. The ArtSpark program also has connections and partnerships all over, right? And one of the biggest connections we have is with the Opportunity Machine, which, as you know, is a product of LEDA, Lafayette Economic Development Authority. And so what the Opportunity Machine does for us, the OM, it provides opportunities for artists such as yourself to get knowledge, to understand how it makes a difference in their lives if they're really entrepreneurs in the business.
Yeah.
And so I think that what you just talked about really represents much of that experience that you had with the Opportunity Machine. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure.
What was the class like? Was it helpful?
Yes, the Opportunity Machine, first of all, there was a class on, working with art as a business, which, as an artist, sometimes we tend to focus on the magical or the side that's wonderful and inspiring, but there is a business side to it. Being an artist is a business. And so the class that was provided was very helpful as far as, how to market yourself as an artist. It's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing to take art, which is something that's not, tangible, or it's so magical, and then try and sell it, or really try and express what you're trying to express to your public. And so that was really wonderful. It also provided a space. I had a couple of interviews in magazines, and Acadiana Profile magazine had wanted a photograph of me, and they hired a professional photographer. So I was able to use the space at the Opportunity Machine to have a professional photo shoot.
That is
and
awesome.
It came out beautifully. It was wonderful. So, and then also, as a sort of a part of this, I was invited to be the illustrator coordinator for the Louisiana, Mississippi region of the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. And this all kind of came about. I had become a member of the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators, but because of the capabilities that I was showing and the retrospective and things, I was invited to be the illustration coordinator, which means I kind of oversee the illustration events that are happening throughout Louisiana and Mississippi. Wow. And the Opportunity Machine provided me a space to hold an intensive workshop, which is happening next month. So I was able to use the space at the Opportunity Machine to gather local authors and illustrators to work on picture books together for a couple of hours on a Saturday. So it's really, the Opportunity Machine has been a huge help to me as well, and a big asset for me as an author, illustrator, and now illustration coordinator.
You're just blowing up. You're just blowing up.
It's been a lot of
awesome. This is so amazing. I love that you're so involved in the program and in the process throughout. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
As you know, it's very near and dear to my heart because myself and Paige Krause, the ACA Outreach Director, administers the program. So we love success stories like yours to be able to share it with everyone else. Paige is very, very interested in making sure that artists understand their commitment to outreach with this project.
Absolutely.
And she helps to get them in the right position with the community to be able to pay it forward, to give back. She really researches with them, and they actually find their own way. But Paige is very, very supportive with this whole project. But she does a lot of research on her own on outreach and different things that we can do to give back to the community. So tell me, what did you do? How did you pay it forward?
Well, during the exhibit at the Hilliard, I had an artist talk where I spoke to a large group of whoever wanted to attend, and it was free to attend. So, and I had a slideshow that just kind of gave examples of what inspires me as an artist. And then it followed my journey from becoming, I was in advertising for 20 years, and then, moving on from that to becoming an illustrator, to becoming an illustrator of children's books, to then becoming an author, an illustrator, and now an author of a novel. So, I went through that process and then was able to meet with people afterwards and take questions and really kind of discuss with them the progress. I also spoke to a group of writers at the Louisiana Acadiana Writers Guild that was held at Barnes & Noble. And once again, I shared with them my experience, and they, handled a lot of questions. And, it's great people at those kind of groups are at different levels in their career. So, I was once, had no clue what I was doing and had questions. And so if anything that I can do to reach out to others to help them in their journey to becoming a published author or illustrator, I love to do that. Giving back is wonderful. I also worked with a Girl Scout group in New Iberia.
I was a Girl Scout executive years ago, an outreach director for Girl Scouts in New Orleans.
I had a group of 9-year-olds, and they were working on their illustration badge. And so I worked with them on different media and mixing media, and then how to, there were different steps that we had to follow. So that was really fun. I'm also next week going to SLCC to talk to a graphic design class. I have been doing a lot. Part of what drives me is being able to share. I'm so grateful for the things that I have, that I've received, and for the path that my career has taken, that I'm really happy to give back and to inspire creativity in others who are willing to work hard and to go after what they want to do.
Sounds awesome. That sounds so awesome. Well, we're wrapping up soon, but before we do that, I want to know what's next for you beyond ArtSpark, beyond all of this. What is on the horizon for artists, Denise Gallagher?
Well, I just handed in this morning the third draft of my novel. So, and it will be a partially illustrated novel for middle grade students. So I'm working on the illustrations for that novel. And once that is complete, I have ideas for other novels and other picture books.
Can't wait.
And I also have, being involved in the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators and other, being friends with other authors. I have books in the works as far as people wanting to illustrate their books, which I also do. So, working with other creatives is always fun too. So, I kind of take what comes at me. I go after the things that I want to do, and I hope to be creating for a long time to come.
We want you to create for a long time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you, Gwen, for having me.
Well, that's a wrap for Community at the Center. I'd like to thank our very special and talented guest, Denise Gallagher. If you'd like information about our ArtSpark program for 2020, please visit the Acadiana Center for the Arts website in January. Thanks for joining us. We are so happy you came. We'll see you at the center.